Hey, everybody. Welcome to Urban Meyer's Pint House. This is the Lettermen Row Weekend Kickoff brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. Look at these guys right. Who's that? Who's in this beast costume right here? I don't know who this is. Evan Spencer right here. There's a lumberjack, an arm wrestler.
Lincoln Hawk.
Came under dress.
Over
Schlegel.
the top for everybody out there, man.
There's Michael Bennett. Now he's just a media professional. Cardale Jones is dressed as a bad friend. And who's in there? Who's it?
I'm sorry.
Beast, who are you?
Uh-oh.
Reveal
the unveiling.
Hey, there you go.
Man,
Zach Boren was under there the whole time. I should have known.
put that mask back on.
So, Halloween is
Sweat going
coming.
on under there.
Yeah, it is.
Both Zach and
Oh, hot.
Cardale, as the backstory, they knew it. We got Saturday night, primetime game. It's on Halloween. We got a weekend kickoff. Zach and Cardale say, let's dress up.
Whoa. I didn't even say that.
Well, who started it?
Cardale.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Cardale
See the
started
influence you have?
That's tough.
I would have brought my luchador mask. I didn't know we were actually
And
dressing
just
up.
so everyone knows, if I didn't play football at Ohio State, do you know what I would have done? I would have been the Beast at Disney. I always wanted to be a Disney character. Love Disney. I would have been waltzing around Main Street.
I always
You've been
saw
great
you as
at
the
it, too.
drama
I would've
guy.
been
sensitive.
I saw you as the drama
Everybody
guy.
that has a daughter, he's so sensitive.
I am.
He's available.
I am James Corden or somebody who just officiated a fall wedding.
Yes.
Either one you want. One of those is true.
In the most beautiful shoes, too.
Thank you. Also, Austin Ward. Okay, we got a game to break down, boys. Finally, after all that fun and talk of Halloween, you know, the Buckeyes played Penn State. We're going to get into that plenty, but they opened 52-17, a win over Nebraska. They're 1-0. They look pretty impressive to me doing it, but I'm going to ask you guys to grade that win. Evan, what do you think?
Shoot. Grade it, I mean, to give it a B+ maybe. I mean, there was so much stuff in the beginning that was to be expected, right? I mean, we talked about it before. Almost like a preseason of sorts. You got to kind of get out there and fail a little bit to put something on film, correct, and go out there and get better at. But, you know, they had a couple productive drives, and, you know, from there they were able to tighten up in the second quarter and then onwards. And offensively, right, I mean, the efficiency at the quarterback position was awesome to see. I mean, Garrett Wilson having a day. Chris Olave, too, you know, picking up right where he left off. It was fun to watch. So B+ for me. Always, you know,
Tough grader.
an ability to improve, but fun to watch.
I think it depends. I think if you are a coach, you give them a B. I think if you're a player, it's a C+, right? And Coach Dave even talked about it. As a player, especially going out against Nebraska, and those guys listen to the hype, right? They know how talented they are. They expected to go out there and dominate, right? And I think there were a couple times where they felt like they were in a fight, but that's a good thing, right? As a player, you want to taste a little blood and have to fire back a little bit, but at the same time, those guys were expecting to go out and dominate. I think as a coaching staff, you sit there and say it's a B because, you know, the two areas where maybe I thought they could have used a little improvement was tackling, which we talked about going into last week, right? Not having spring ball, fall camp being a little different than normal. Tackling was going to be a little off, right? And the other thing is just running the football, right? But then again, who knows what were designed gives from Justin Fields. There were a couple times where he could have pulled it if he was really reading it and went for a touchdown, right? So they may not have wanted to show too much, but I guarantee you the coaches thought that they would be a little bit more dominant in the run game, especially with the running back position.
I said the same thing. I gave him a C overall as if I was a coach, if I was a player, because you're used to seeing that Ohio State style of football and it's dominant, and everything else is set up off the dominance of running to the ball, hitting guys, or establishing line of scrimmage, or creating a new line of scrimmage up front, whether that's the front four or that's your five guys in front of the quarterback. So, like you said, we reverted back to some of them things that we said we was worried about, kind of, didn't want to say worry, but I was anxious to see how well they would do tackling in both sides of the ball. And in my personal opinion, we struggled at tackling definitely when it came to open field tackles.
Yep.
So, and you see Nebraska come out there and take the ball 75 yards, you know, down and get a touchdown, it was like, oh boy, here we go. But overall, I think, you know, like I said, a C and a lot of room for improvement. But one thing I got to see this week is less hits on the quarterback.
No doubt.
I'm not as tough a grader as these guys. I want to give them an A or an
Super
A-.
tough.
I thought, you know.
Hey, man, I gave it a B+. Come on, that's a good grade.
I don't think Nebraska's a bad team. I've said it before. I don't think their record is going to show it this year because of the strength of their schedule. But I think they're a good squad. They've got a lot of talent that came back on offense. Their defense isn't a slouch. It's not the best defense in the country, but it's not a bad defense. our offense still put up 52 points on them and was still dominant. Definitely not what we're looking for in the run game. You would hope that gets better, but you got a running back who's coming off of a torn Achilles, 6 months ago, and then you got a running back that just transferred in. I think they're going to take a game or two to hit their stride, and we're hoping that's going to be this weekend because you're going to need it against Penn State. The defense is a defense that you don't have a lot of returning starters, a lot of guys who are just going out there to make their name this year. And I thought, they started sluggish. The tackling wasn't great, but they were mostly getting burned on quarterback runs by an athletic quarterback. And that's something that, that's a game plan thing. That's an adjustment that has to be made as the year goes on. You learn how to play those quarterbacks and what to expect when he starts running. So overall, I thought it was a great game. It was a great display by Ohio State. Definitely started off rocky, but I would prefer to see that in the first game of the season just because it's going to be rocky at some point. You don't want it to be rocky in week 8 or week 7. I want to see us challenged by Nebraska in the first half and then dominate through the rest of the game so that when we're going against Penn State and that quarterback's running around or whatever, we're ready to go. We've game planned for that. Guys are ready to roll.
Yeah, I would say B+, and here's why. And I agree with you, Evan. Offensively, right? Establishing the line of scrimmage. They had no returning starters on the defensive line. They lost their number 1 guy, Ben Still, early in the game. But again, running the football and blocking, they didn't have anything to go off of, right? There's no certainty as to what Nebraska does, how they line up, how they're going to potentially game plan. Those are things that you have to feel, just like they talk about the running backs, just like linebackers. You got to you got to be in the game to feel it, right? Because it's not live. They haven't tackled necessarily at practice. So all those things you're adjusting on the fly because it's live bullets. Boom. Defensively, there were some things early that aren't game planning, that has nothing to do with the talent on the field. That's setting the edge. That's letting a guy go in front of you when you're playing zone. That cannot happen. But then there were some really good things. Sean Wade, cover 3, dumping a guy off to the safety, falling back, making a play. Then you go back and look, and this is why it's like a tale of two halves. 17-14 at halftime. Boom. Coaching, A- to an A. Why? Because they make adjustments. And then also for our guys to be able to go out there and execute those adjustments. And you outscore Nebraska in the second half 35-3. That's big-time football. That's exactly what you want to see. You didn't know what you're going to get. You went out there, sort of executed, made halftime adjustments. And again, they didn't see anything, especially defense. It's eye control. It's your fundamentals. And trust your coaching.
Yep.
And that's what it came down to, and they were able to do that, which makes me feel very comfortable going into this week. And one thing that hurt us this last week was the quarterback run, and that's all Penn State has now.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting night there, Saturday night. You can feel the weather starting to turn. It's Big Ten weather out there. A reminder for football fans, it's got these chilly falls coming. Those chilly falls are going to turn into snowy winter days. Is your furnace ready? Whether it just needs quick fix or you need a whole new system, Columbus Comfort Heating and Cooling is your local Bryant Heating and Cooling dealer. And they will do whatever it takes to make sure your system is ready for old man winter. You can rely on Columbus Comfort to provide great service at your convenience. They'll make sure you and your family stay warm and comfortable all winter long. Be sure to schedule your winter tune-up today at columbuscomfort.com.
Yes.
Bryant and Columbus Comfort Heating and Cooling, doing whatever it takes. Speaking of which,
Do it.
Bryant Heating and Cooling, players of the game. Who wants to?
I want to take the first one.
Do it, because I don't
Justin
know
Fields can't go off the board
My guy
first.
Haskell.
I know you. Go ahead.
Okay.
My guy. I mean, you saw we struggled in the first half until Haskell got in there, and immediately you saw the tide turn in the way of our defensive line. He immediately provided pass rushing. He stopped the run. He was a problem in there for that Nebraska offensive line, who I would like to reiterate is a good offensive line. They're all returners, and Haskell Garrett went in and he was a game changer. And that's what you want to see from your number 1 3-tech. You want him to be a game changer. You want him to be somebody who shines and who the offense has to account for. And I thought that's what he did. And I don't know how many big plays he made, but every time someone did make a big play, a lot of it was because Haskell was in there causing problems and getting in the way of everybody else. And that's why I want to say whatever it takes. Because on top of that, the young man got shot in the face.
Yeah, 7 weeks ago, 8 weeks.
Anybody that can get shot in the face and then a couple months later go and change the game during a big season opener when you needed that.
We talked about it last week. We didn't know if Haskell Garrett would be able to play. He lost 5 teeth, got a bone graft in his jaw. He's on a liquid diet. And Mike, you've been through this defensive tackle. You're
I've
trying
not
to
been
play.
shot in the face.
Well, I mean, staying at weight. If you
Yeah.
had to be on a liquid diet,
He looked good. You know, it looked like he. I don't want to say
We're
anything
not gonna
crazy.
shoot you in the face.
He looked like he leaned out a little bit. He was quick. He had good hands, good hips, active feet. The young man looks like he's poised to have a great year. It would be great to have a second defensive lineman who can provide that pass rush. But as it stands, he's going to be the one we turn to on the interior to create that push so these defensive ends can rush the passer.
All right, that's a great pick. Cardale, you want in?
Clearly, I'm going with my guy, Justin Fields. I mean, trying to be completely unbiased, but when a guy goes 20 for 21, three passing touchdowns and then one rushing, I mean, what else can you ask for your quarterback?
Right.
I mean, they got him involved in the game heavily, early and often. When it came to getting him outside the pocket, throw. I think it was the first play of the game. Getting him outside the pocket, throwing a 15-yard down the field comeback. That's a big boy throw. That's things that I personally want to see him take his game to the next level and see if he can make some of these NFL throws that everyone always raving about. So Justin Fields is my player of the game.
Yeah.
And that one incompletion.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to piggyback off him and take the cheap route. But, I mean, you make some perfect points, right? The fact that he is so efficient at the quarterback position, right, being as accurate as he was, starting off the game and making a field comeback and, you know, kind of building on that with throws in the pocket as well, right? I mean, like, it's just such an impressive performance, right? But to come out with uncertainty, not having the timing, not having as many reps with the receivers as you probably usually do. I mean, hell, that first post that he threw was one of the best probably balls that he's thrown this year, right? So, you know, it's just exciting. But hats off to him, and he answered the bell well.
I can't believe Evan didn't take a wide receiver.
Well, I was thinking about it, but I'm trying to break the mold a
some
little bit
options.
here. I mean,
First-
quarterback, pick the quarterback.
First
You know
pick
what I mean?
upset of
Come
the
on.
season.
D-line. What am I going to do? Pick the receiver again? Jazz it up a little bit here, you know what I mean?
Schlegel or Zach, who's jumping in here?
Go ahead, Beast.
Thank you. You know what? I'm
Be
gonna go with
hard guest.
Thank you. I'm going to go with the wide receivers. You know, there was a lot of pressure on Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson to step up this year and play and especially make plays, right? Especially knowing that the starting running back was coming off Achilles injury. You had another guy who was a transfer, right? They needed to throw the football and be game changers, right, on the outside, and they were. They lived up to the hype. A lot of those young guys stepped up as well. But it's those two that are leading the pack, right?
Yep.
The rest of the young guys are feeding off Olave and Wilson. And so those guys have to show up each and every day. Hopefully Olave's, I don't know, you probably know better than me if he's playing this Saturday or not. But if not, Wilson better step up. But, man, those two guys are probably – some of the best receivers we've seen since Evan Spencer.
But, I mean, he's ready. And we got a lot of deep guys. I mean, if anything we saw in the first game, that it's a matter of just whoever's coming next and them getting a chance to go out there and perform. So.
Yeah, expectation is Chris Olave has practiced. Garrett Wilson said there was a super confidence from Ohio State that he'd be able to play on Saturday night. We will find out officially on Friday morning because you got to hit the road.
You got to hit the road.
You got a limited travel roster, so you're not going to take everybody. You'll know.
You only get
Friday.
74, he said.
Right. It's tough. That's a big decision.
Yeah, so whatever it takes for me would be a guy by the name of Chris Booker. So
Oh, wow.
Coach
That's a
Meyer,
great
in
one.
his book, right, he talks about a guy named Nick Sirac. Nick Sirac was a walk-on. I actually coached a guy named Nate Ebner who's playing for the New York Giants right now. Walk-on who earned a scholarship. You look at Berger, you look at Fada, you look at all the walk-ons that play at Ohio State. And the thing about Chris Booker is the fact that he went to Dayton, got out of football, lost kind of his love for the game, enrolled at Ohio State, was on the club team, showed some promise. They made a highlight film. Hey, you have an opportunity to walk on Ohio State. And then because of his passion in the weight room, his heart, right now he's on special teams, and he was the special teams player of the week this week. And we saw that play last week with DK Metcalf, right? Hey, how am I going to get a scholarship if I don't ever get the ball, coach? Boom, DK Metcalf. Right? All gas, no brakes. 46 seconds, point A, point B. That's Coach Meyer's mantra. Like, that's what the standard of excellence is at Ohio State. So he gets with Mickey Marotti, has a tremendous heart. It's just a great story for you to be able to share with your kids. Like, listen, it doesn't matter if you're on scholarship or you're a walk-on. On the field, everybody's the same. And it's all about attitude and effort, your work ethic, and then when called upon, you respond and make some plays.
All right, I'll give, just to cap it off then, Sevyn Banks is still available. He scored a defensive touchdown.
Yeah.
Scooped up that fumble, took it back to the house. He's also playing some pretty solid coverage out there for the Buckeyes. That's going to be even more important against Penn State on the road. Let's get into it. They're coming off of a loss.
Do it.
Shocking loss. Does that make Penn State more scary to you or less scary since they lost to Indiana?
I mean,
It's always tough facing a team that's coming off a loss, especially a game that they didn't think they were going to lose. And going to Happy Valley, it's a lot different this time than it normally would be. Going into the whiteout 7:30 at night, there's going to be multiple challenges. with Ohio State going on the road for the first time, going into an opposing stadium without any fans, getting on that bus and going into the stadium. I mean, there are so many things that are going to be first for that Ohio State team that, hey, sudden change is going to happen. Those guys need to be mentally prepared, walking in there, walking in the stadium. Coach Day's going to have that. But I don't think there's any way from a talent standpoint, how Penn State can even hang with Ohio State, right? Especially with Noah Cain getting hurt this past week. Their number 2 running back gone. There's no way. There is no way Ohio State is going to get beat by a quarterback who is going to be their leading rusher.
All right, we'll save that pick because we got something for you later. All right, we got something for Schlegel too, by the way.
Speaking of Bryant heating and cooling, I am hot in this house.
If you can make it, you can make it through the whole show.
You need a Coors Light. There's Coors Light.
Cool down with a silver bullet.
I mean, my gosh, Cardale, I did this for you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
whatever.
Sorry, I forget.
Schlegel, you worried about Penn State?
No. So I guess they're giving up 9.5 points in this game. You automatically know who I'm picking. Here's the thing about Penn State. I think this last week versus Nebraska wanted to play physical ball. We kind of saw what they did. We were moving over our Sam linebacker, which is now Baron Browning. You automatically know he's going to go to the tight end side. They're going to get Pat Freiermuth.
Yep,
Pat Freiermuth. He's the all-time leading touchdown receiver, tight end in the tight end position for Penn State. Those are your 2 weapons on offense. All right, defensively in the back end, I think we're going to be able to cover them. The biggest thing will be how hard and how often can we hit Clifford, period, dot. Then defensively, you got to pick your poison. I think that this week, the and the players got a better rhythm as far as the blocking. They obviously, have film now on Penn State. In that Penn State game, they only gave up 211 yards to an Indiana team and still lost the game, even though they outgained them 488. That being said, it's not the whiteout. It's not a 10-point advantage, as Coach Myers has talked about. I think they go in there and handle their business because here's the thing. What we saw this last week with Wisconsin, you never know how many games you're going to get.
Yep.
It has to be all gas, no brakes, full throttle. Every time you go out, you got a show out. Juicy J, boom, 2014 National Championship game, right? That's what it is. So you have an opportunity to go score 50 on them. Guess what? Score 50. There's no apologies at the end of the game. Why did we take our quarterback out? We don't want to get in victory. We want to score touchdowns. Why? Because the entire nation will be watching us in Happy Valley because – in the preseason, they were ranked number 8.
Yep. I mean, and I was even thinking about the quarterback, pulling him out, keeping him in, having the chance to just get more ingrained with the offense. Think about that. They don't have as many games as they used to. This used to be game 1, but now this feels like game 4, game 5 or whatever because it has that much importance, right? So 20 for 21, incredible, but what could 24 or 25 look like? And that thought process is going to carry over to next week, and it has to carry over to next week. And at the end of the day, every possession, we need points on offense. Every time we touch the football, somebody needs to try to score with it. And from there, they don't have their fans. At the end of the day, it's a momentum team that we're playing against. Every time that we've gone in there and we've gotten into trouble, it's because we beat ourselves, and then the momentum becomes this big-ass wave, right? We're not going to have that. We're not going to be dealing with that, and I think that that'll be taking the wind out of their sails pretty severely.
Yeah, I think Cardale, that the question is we all know what the whiteout is. So if we're trying to look for these storylines and on my side with the media, all right, well, how are they going to get up? Because on paper, there's no doubt that Ohio State is a better team. So does Penn State just rally around James Franklin and get really pissed off?
You got to. I mean, you got to. You have no choice. This is Penn State season right here. This is make or break.
Sure.
You have long seasons when we say, Evan, you can revert to this when we lost to Virginia Tech opening home game in 2014. And one of the main things in the locker room guys will say to kind of rally the troops is, it's a long season. We bounce back next year. This is not a long season. Right. This is Penn State's season on the line right here. Yeah. So it's kind of worrisome a little bit when you got a team backed up against the wall because clearly they're going to stress this as well through their program. But also, when the last time this coaching staff from Penn State lost 2 games back-to-back? So Ohio State got to go in there and prepare. Cannot let the atmosphere get to them because you're not going to have the juice. You're not going to be able to feed them to anything. Because I know for me personally, I love playing at away games.
Me too.
I'm give me all. Yell at me. Exactly. I love it.
Flip me off. Throw beer bottles at me. Let's go.
Exactly. So I kind of feed off that. But Ohio State got to, like you said, bring your own juice at this point because you're going to get Penn State's best. I guarantee you guys, win, lose, or draw for Penn State, this will be the best game they play all year because this is their season.
Well, there's 2 things, right? Ohio State has to go on the road and start quick. They need to go out, jump out to 2-score game, in Penn State's, it's going to hit them because they're going to be on that field and they know the monsters that and the athletes that Ohio State's rolling out is going to be tough to come back. So if Ohio State goes out, jumps out in the first quarter, really takes advantage of everything they're given, it's going to be a completely different game. Here's the other thing. You talked about bring your own juice. The great thing is Coach Franklin for Penn State has given some bulletin board material for Ohio State over the years. Yeah. So if there's a time where you bring your own juice, for all the people that want to know, do you read bulletins? It's being read this week. And all this stuff that's coming out that, Franklin said, we're a top-tier program, too. We're just as good as all those things. Yeah. Ryan Day is going to be preaching to those guys starting tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, you got to bring your own juice in this battle because you can't let them jump out. Like, this is not – like, you guys remember when we used to practice maybe a special play and save it for a bowl game? Yeah. We had probably started practicing that thing in the spring ball.
Oh, they're coming out now.
They bringing it out now. They bringing it out now.
All those 2-point plays that you need to have when you need to have
you got to see trick plays, and they're going to give clearly OSU their best because this is their season.
I'm a little worried about Penn State, mostly because I'm not really worried about Penn State, if that makes sense. I feel like we've all just kind of –
That's a good 2020 response right there.
We've all just kind of accepted that Ohio State's too good to lose to Penn State.
Sure.
And I still, in my core, feel that way. But everything that's been set up here makes a lot of sense. This is Penn State's season. And I would argue it's Ohio State's season as well. Mm-hmm. If you lose to Penn State, how much are you going to be able to convince the NCAA board or whatever that you deserve to go compete for the college football playoff, that you compete for the national championship? And, Penn State just lost to Indiana. I get it. Indiana is a perennial bad team. I still didn't think Penn State was a horrible team. Not a great running approach. That was the best quarterback I've seen at Penn State in a while, and he's not the best in the world. They've got decent receivers. But what worried me the most was those defensive ends for Penn State were heating up those tackles for Indiana.
Yeah.
We do not have the same tackles that Indiana has. Right. And we do not have the same coaches that Indiana has. And I'm sure they have a game plan, and it's going to be massive that they don't have that whiteout and they don't have that huge crowd that just blots out any noise or any communication on our team. Yeah. I think, like Coach Meyer said, that's easily 10 points for them every time we went to play them. Right. Every time we went to play, I always thought we were much better than Penn State, and it was always a tight game.
I also think, though, watching the end of the Indiana game on Saturday, it looked like a bad culture football team. Yeah. There were multiple times in that game when they went ahead by 8 with a minute 30 left. There was just a bad culture. At that point, that is when you step on their neck and say, hey, game over, right? Checkmate. Coach Meyer used to always call it checkmate, right? And so you saw as the game went on and Indiana went on that drive, there was no person on the Penn State defense to look at everyone else and say, hey, we're stopping them right here. Hey, on the 2-point conversion, we got them right here. You go into that overtime, and Penn State just looked kind of defeated. Even though they seemed like they were ahead the entire game, it was a bad culture towards the end of the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. That's just shocking with as great of a coach as James Franklin is. A lot more to get into with this game and a lot else. Urban Meyer coming up shortly here on Weekend Kickoff, brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. We'll be right back. Cardale might go out and throw out some T-shirts in the meantime. We'll be right back here. Weekend Kickoff from Lettermen Row.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Columbus Comfort Heating and Cooling. Find them at columbuscomfort.com.
Welcome back to Weekend Kickoff, brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems at Urban Meyer's Pint House. We have the guy who's got his name on the building, Urban Meyer, in the house. These are the big ones. I know these are the ones that you loved, Urban. Ohio State at Penn State, 2 storied programs, hard places to play. Maybe not quite the same without the whiteout, but it's just saying those 2 programs probably gets your blood going a little bit.
It sure does. Penn State has become an unofficial rival of Ohio State, and it's interesting talking to people from even the Joe Paterno era. It became the rivalry for Penn State, the way Penn State fans, players look at it. Ohio State's the big dog, and so is Penn State in many people's regard. And I'll tell you what, the last 7 years, 8 years including last year, but last year we kind of handled them pretty good, but the last 7, we've had some knockdown dragouts. In 2012, Jake Sternberger breaks away on a 70-yard, and that's when Braxton had that incredible run.
Oh, that was the best run I've ever seen.
Yeah, 2013, it was a close game, and then we kind of beat them up in the second half. And then from that point forward, it was just a dogfight. When 14, I want to say double overtime.
Yeah. JT, Bosa.
15, did we lose?
16.
15, we came back home in the night out, in the blackout, right? Yeah, it was a blackout, first blackout.
Yep.
And we wore black uniforms, and the crowd was incredible, and Zeke had a great day. 16, they blocked the field goal, win the game. 17 and 18 are comeback wins, and then last year we had a good win against them.
Those, just thinking about 17 and 18, because I've got different stories written heading into the fourth quarter.
I'm sure you did.
You got to be ready, and I'm scrambling. Like, I can't imagine what it was like for you to be in that headset watching that comeback, because they were so special. You can't have. How much faith did you have, or had you lost, that you might win those games? Either
well,
one.
Well, let's talk about 14 first. 14 was and I tell people this, that the script was written. The game was over.
Right.
We were up. We didn't play well in the second half. They had to come back. JT threw a pick 6, and they did well, and we go into overtime. They score 7 points, and it was so loud that I remember my pants. I looked down, and my pants were shaking. I thought a fan was behind me, and I was like, what is that? And that was the actual crowd. And JT's a redshirt freshman quarterback with a second-degree MCL tear. At halftime, they told him not to play, and he said, Coach, you have to shoot me. I'm not coming out of this game. And I said, okay. And I look at our strength coach and the doctor, and I said, well, it's up to him, but we'll brace it and tape it and all that. And if you remember the way that game, 2 plays were in the end zone.
Damn, yeah.
And then we go and score right away, and then the left tackle makes a mistake and blocks out. And they left Joey Bosa on a running back, and
That's a great matchup for the Buckeyes.
Yeah. And then 17 and 18 were 17. JT Barrett goes 16 for 16 in the second half. Comeback win, and 18 might have been the most improbable. We're starting from our own 4-yard line. We're down, we're down, and we got to go win the game. And we start with a screen pass, and J.K. Dobbins knocks it out to about the 40. And then, I always tell K.J. Hill that he gets the credit. The real credit's Terry McLaurin. He blocked 3 people on that one play.
That block was remarkable. I remember we had Evan, another guy who threw a couple big blocks for you. Oh. And I remember after that game, it was like, well, it was a great play by K.J. Hill. Look at him set up the block. No. Terry McLaurin is clearing guys out. It's an incredible effort. So that's what you described what the crowd is like when it's full and it's a special place. It's like being in the Horseshoe. There's very few places that you can compare it to. It's going to be very different.
Very different, yeah.
And you're preparing to go then. How do you handle this? Is it advantageous for the Buckeyes to go on the road and not have the crowd? We saw them deal with it at home last week. It's the same for both teams, I guess. So that's the most interesting part about it.
Yeah, the first thing you say, Perrin, thanks for not having those crowd there. The biggest issue is the offensive line and the tackles. When you have to block a very good defensive line and you don't have the advantage of the snap count, that's the biggest part of those games. And, Isaiah Prince really struggled there a couple times. Just how loud it is, and they get a jump on the clap.
Yeah.
And so you don't have that issue now. But as far as this is concerned, the biggest issue is COVID. Make sure you're following your process. We're extremely talented team. Defense gave up a couple yards last week. But the one thing about Nebraska's offensive skill, I was shocked. It was very average. And I know I said that publicly already, so I won't get in trouble. But Nebraska's not the same Nebraska with that skill. The quarterbacks, I think, are pretty good players.
Yeah.
But there's no push.
The offensive line seemed a little bit better than it had been, but they still weren't ready. So does that have you on alert then if you saw that Nebraska skill position and now you're getting ready for Penn State?
Well, the question is how good's Penn State? They had 500 yards, lost the game. The Hamler kid that was there was dynamic. He's gone.
Yeah.
And I know Kerry Combs is worried too, is how are they going to handle a downfield pass? We didn't have one last week that threatened us. And so that'll be the biggest concern. 3 new starters in the back end of our defense. All 3 are high draft picks. I think 2 are at least starting the NFL, and they're gone.
All right, so there's a couple things going on here with the Penn State loss that you referenced to Indiana. They played, statistically, you look at the box score and think there's no way that they could have lost that game. They just had an interesting in-game situation, and James Franklin has had a number of these throughout his career. That's sort of been the knock on him, is the game management, clock management. If you are watching that, I heard you talk about this earlier this week on Fox and BTN. Now a coach sees that situation where a player could have fallen short of the goal line, maybe that goes right into a conversation for a coaching staff the next week?
Well, immediately. I'm pretty sure I know Ohio State walked through it already. A couple other of our colleagues that I know, if I talk to them and they say, yeah, we walked through it. The thing in 35 years I've been in college, I've never seen that situation. The Nick Saban, Alabama kick six, I've never witnessed that before. Yet we practiced it every week after that.
Right.
Les Miles, and we're going to all do this on our pregame show on Saturday. Les Miles in 2009 they lost a game on the 9-yard line, and they had the ball with 1 second. They tried to down it, you can't. So we put in win-win, we call it, and put the ball in the end zone. So those scenarios happen once every 35 years, and the coach is responsible. If you practiced every situation, you wouldn't have time for anything else throughout the course of a week. And that's where, I don't know, James Franklin, how his operation is, but that's where you have to have someone upstairs that has a lot of these things written out. It's okay, tell the player to get down.
Sure.
And I remember we put in a play, not that we experienced it, but, and I said this on TV, it was 94 zone down. That tells the tailback, get the first down, get down.
Okay. Well, let's see if the Buckeyes need that, if they've learned that lesson that Penn State did last week. We got one more for you before you get out of here, and back to your linguine and clams and maybe some 7-0 back there, Urban. It's the Buyers Auto question for Coach, the one of the week, and it's about your life now, not being the full-time head coach, but if you're walking to a practice, going through the Woody, and you just get the juice flowing, you want to give some instruction. Are you still doing that if you go to a practice? Are you still, as Ryan Day say, hey, if this guy's got 3 national championship rings, sees something, he's allowed to say something?
Ryan's been great. We talk weekly, almost daily. And I have not been over there because of COVID. I don't want to be the one.
Oh, yeah.
And I travel a lot, and I am not going to be the person to the players right now, the players' coaches and their families are so disciplined that first of all, they don't want people there. I'm sure I could probably go, but I'm not doing that.
Right.
But we talked, for example, about the run game a little bit. We talked about some other things that, I worry a little bit about a couple things, and we talked about them that I just witnessed. He'll call and say, what's your thoughts? And I appreciate that. The old guy can give his thoughts once in a while. But I used to do that with John Cooper and Earl Bruce, and I still do that with Jim Tressel, and that's the one thing that's so unique about Ohio State is I don't believe every other program's like that. From Jim Tressel, when Coach Bruce was alive, Coach Cooper was unbelievable.
Yeah.
John Cooper would come every week. He'd come put his arm around me. Think about this. John Cooper, who's a dear friend now, he'd come in and we'd talk about, because he was the NFL guy. He knew about the NFL players of the team we're playing. He said, watch out for this guy. And more than anything, I just appreciate his support.
Yeah.
And so Ryan has the same support. Once you're a Buckeye, you're always a Buckeye, and they take care of each other.
That's probably just because there's so few of you guys who actually know what it's like, the pressure. It's a special place, but it also comes with a special kind of performance mandatory every single week to win every game.
Yeah, but a lot of places there's an animosity about coach to coach. There's none.
Yeah.
Think about that. When I talk about Jim Tressel, tell me a better guy than Jim Tressel. And, we just did a commercial together, and we talk, and we're, it's nothing but great friends. And the same with John Cooper, and obviously Ryan Day's part of that fraternity now.
All right, I don't have to ask you for a prediction for Saturday, so I think we know who you've got. Ohio State.
Buckeyes big.
All right, there it is. Buckeyes big Saturday night at Penn State. That is Urban Meyer. We'll be right back on Weekend Kickoff, brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. All right, taking a quick break from Weekend Kickoff, brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. We've got our friend Tim Smith from Columbus Comfort Heating and Cooling. Starting to feel a little chilly out there. Weather's coming.
It is, and actually, you'd be amazed how many people have already called in to have their furnaces serviced. The biggest thing for most people is they just have questions on how often do I need my filter changed? What temperature should I set it at?
Yeah.
Whatever makes you comfortable. I don't know. We're all different.
How is so we're getting ready for this busier season. How have things been? I know we're all struggling to get through dealing with COVID. I mean, some of these talk to Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems about getting filters to make sure your house is clean, making sure what all services do we need to make sure we're getting ready here?
See, I was probably the wrong guy to ask that question too, because I'm all by the book.
Okay.
There's a big restaurant chain here in town, and we've been putting iWaves in for them. They actually bought 180 of them.
Oh wow, good.
It's approved to kill coronavirus within 6 feet. They say MERV 13 filters help, but the problem is is 80% of the equipment in Columbus, Ohio, the duct's not sized right. It's too small, and you're just creating more wear and tear on the unit.
Okay.
So, the only suggestion I would have for something like that is just use the MERV 8 and let your fan run on all the time and change your filter more often.
All right, so you've got some more advice for anybody that's trying to get ready for the winter, and I'm trying to learn every single week when you guys are out here.
Okay.
Like, when you've got somebody who calls you up, they don't know what they're looking for. So how does the process work? What are you trying to help people out, the consumer, when they're coming into you?
The biggest thing is everybody in the basement, that's where the furnace is. Mm-hmm. And everybody loves to stack everything right in front of it. I mean, that's always, and that's usually what most of the problem is that thing needs to breathe like you and me. It's got to have oxygen to burn with the gas to create combustion.
Okay.
So the biggest thing I always tell people, change your filter, don't put nothing in front of the furnace. And, of course, if they do have problems, call us.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the only company in town that has a 2-year parts and labor warranty on all our repairs. No one else in the Columbus market does that.
All right, well, that's what I was going to ask. What sets Columbus Comfort apart? There we go.
Well, I'll tell you what sets us apart. All of our new equipment is 10-year parts and labor through Bryant. All of our repairs, 2 years parts and labor, 24-hour service, 365/24, We keep probably about $15,000 worth of truck stock on each truck. That way we can fix it on the spot. We want to be repairing it today, not repairing it tomorrow. I mean, you called us because you wanted it repaired. You don't want to hear me say, hey, you're going to have to, wait another night.
Yeah.
The only time that happens if no one in town has the part. So you call today, it's going to be fixed.
That's awesome.
Because if we don't have it on the truck, we'll go get it.
There you go.
We're not going to leave you hanging.
Ohio State, Penn State, who you got?
Oh, Ohio State, obviously. I mean, in my perfect world, I'd like to see Ohio State hang at least 70 on them.
70 at Penn State.
I know that's a stretch.
Well, you're making a big impression in Columbus. You're back in the Buckeyes. You got to do it.
Well, I've been here my whole life. Is there another football team besides the Buckeyes? And don't say the Bengals or Browns.
My life is covering the Buckeyes, so that's all I care about too.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Tim Smith, Columbus Comfort Heating and Cooling. Got to check them out. They'll take care of you same day.
Yes.
Not going to wait till the next day. Appreciate you hanging out with us tonight.
Not a problem. Thanks for having us.
All right. Welcome back to Weekend Kickoff, brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. This is the final push. Zach's getting a little too heated in there. We got to get into
I'm better now.
Oh, okay.
I was able to waltz around Urban's Pint House.
Cool down.
Cool down. The bullets were, the mountains were blue. Silver bullets were flowing.
It's got to be hot.
Let's go, man. OH.
I.O.
All right.
Yes, let's do this.
It's the Silver Bullet Pick segment. And for the second week in a row, look at this chain.
Champion.
That's not what that means.
Loser.
Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks.
I suck, and I'm on a morning show.
Yeah.
How about that?
Who pays you for that?
What a swift kick in the balls.
In the last 2 weeks.
Definitely not representing anybody on the morning juice. Coming up here being a loser. I can't pick college games.
Why not?
Because they suck. I mean, it's not like we're talking about professional ball.
What a terrible excuse. We talk about college football.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just bad.
He's got one correct pick against the spread in the last 2 weeks.
No, I got two. I got one the first week and one the second week.
I thought you would. That was an 0 for 5.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, you were
That's why. That's why I decided to invest in that very fancy chain.
Good. I love this chain, the loser chain.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't think gambling is legal yet in this state, but there is some money that went to Zach Boren for getting 3 won it last week. That's kind of embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
Hey, feel free to rob him after the show.
Yeah, he's loaded with
Cardale.
those 20s.
I'm putting my 20 back in. Is everyone putting it back in?
I'm putting it back in.
I already got you. You don't need to
Here's
give me
the 20.
All right.
Are we doing? We're betting? I'll always throw some cash.
Yeah, that's a 20
See,
bucks.
this is why I don't mind putting a 20 in. I don't mind putting a 20 in, but there's a thing I have against gambling because I like to have this thing called rat hole money, right, men? We know what it is. It's like behind your driver's license. It's the money that you kind of, put in your pocket. Maybe your wife doesn't know, and then you swipe the card. You have to go about thinking about, should I really charge this on this card or use my rat hole? It's under $100. Yeah, she'll be down with that. Oh, it's $250. Pull out $150 from that rat hole. Boom, put another $100 on the credit card. Poof, David Copperfield. I don't like to lose. I just don't like to lose it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to go to Vance's or Shoot Point Blank and buy guns and hunting equipment. Oh, by the way, Cardale got his first bow kill the other day. Deer hunting. How about that? Everybody know that? Cardale likes to bow hunt. Poof.
David Copperfield.
I know.
All right, back to it.
You always bring us the life lessons, but I actually have one for you this week.
Oh,
right?
yeah?
So you say you hate losing.
Yeah, I do. Competitive excellence.
Pick better teams.
No doubt. Well, give me better teams to pick because the ones you got right here are Garbaggio.
It's the Big Ten, baby. Attack and dominate. Let's start with it. I know what Cardale's going to do because he gave us his secret last week. But we got Sparty at the Wolverines. Wolverines favored 23.5.
Ooh. It's a safe bet.
Who do we like in Ann Arbor on Saturday, Cardale? Well, this is a tough one for you. Because you said you would never bet on them.
Michigan State. I'm taking Michigan State. I can't do it. Wow, this is Michigan State. No offense to the guys. I get it in a rebuilding stage of things. But it might be the worst team I've seen in a long time. So just lose by 21. I'll be good. Just lose by 21. I'll be good.
Perfect.
So I'm taking Michigan State.
We got one for Sparty. Schlegs?
No, I'm not going second. Go over there.
Go BB.
Okay, BB got it.
BB, go ahead.
BB, you said earlier you wouldn't pick
with-
anything but Big Ten games because that's all you care about.
You're right. I'm going to have to run with Dell on this one. I can't go with Team Up North. It just doesn't work like that. So we got to go with the next best thing. I'm going with Sparty.
All right, we got 2 picks for Sparty.
I'm going to choose that team up north.
Okay.
I want them to be undefeated when we go to play them, and then we will put up 50 on them.
But we're talking about
they
the
can
spread.
win. Yeah, we're talking about the spread.
Michigan, you just said it. It's not even a real team. I don't know what's going on in Michigan State
Yeah,
right
but
now.
just-
I don't know what's
You're right,
going on.
but just
It's
beat them by 20 or
ugly,
21.
man.
I don't care.
Rutgers wasn't even allowed to have the S. They were Rucker.
And they still are.
And they still won.
Yeah.
So Michigan's, I don't know what's going on in Michigan State. I'm sure those guys are having fun going to college and stuff and, living their lives. They're not playing football. So the Wolverines, they had a good showing. They're going to win. Whatever. It is what it is. Let them be strong for when we beat
This
them.
is the one rivalry they can win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
bro.
Exactly. Give them something, right?
Schlegel, you going?
Sure, I'll go on this one. I'm gonna go with that team up north, simply because Milton, simply because Don Brown's D really getting after blitzing the quarterback, and Michigan State had 7 turnovers last week. So even if you cut that in half, that's 3.5. We always round up, so you get 4. Boom.
Poof, they recover.
Okay.
Team up north. I like
That's gonna be
it. 28 points. I like it. I grew up going to the University of Team Up North my entire life, right? I've been up there so many times. I've seen the way they party. I've seen the way their bells look up there. There are no distractions. No distractions. They do not party. The women do not look good. Those guys playing at home are not going to have any distractions. Michigan goes out. They're going to win this game 52 to maybe 3. They cover easily. Joe Milton is a hell of a quarterback. What he showed last week. Granted, everyone's comparing him to Ben Roethlisberger, right, in the preseason.
For real?
Everyone was, yeah.
That's
right?
awful. I like
right?
Big Ben. That's a
I know,
bad
but you know
comparison.
what? He went out against Minnesota, managed the game really well, made some plays. They showed out. I was the only one who picked that game properly last week, FYI. They win again because there is nothing going on at the University of Michigan on Halloween weekend besides this football game.
Such weird stuff happens in this game, though. I don't know. Sparty was pretty awful last
Maybe
week.
on other,
Awful.
maybe in
And
other
I have.
years.
I guess I have.
Who are you picking?
I guess I have to say I was wrong. He said he was taking Team Up North.
I know. Who are you picking?
I have to take them too because they proved me so wrong. I said prepare for 4-win Jim Harbaugh this year, and then they went out and just absolutely stomped the Gophers. I think I got to take them just because Sparty looks so awful. They'll cover 23.5. All right, game number 2. Another team, Mike, that I have to apologize to. Greg Schiano was chopping some wood.
He wasn't doing too bad, huh?
How about that? Go out and get. Not only were they bowl eligible without even playing a game, but then they actually won one.
Right.
Got 8
Against Michigan
turnovers.
State?
Michigan State. All right, so they're at home in Indiana coming off that win over Penn State. They're 13-point favorites on the road. What an interesting game in the Big Ten East all of a sudden.
Yeah, it is.
Indiana.
You going?
Yeah.
Indiana?
You go. I'll go.
No.
Indiana. I think
Minus 13.
Rutgers was okay. I thought they played a bad Michigan State team, and we're all blown away when Rutgers wins a game.
Well, it is amazing
But
to me.
That shouldn't, all of a sudden vault Rutgers all the way up to competing for the Big Ten championship. They're still Rutgers. So I think Indiana looked pretty good. Still Indiana. It's going to be an ugly game. I will definitely not watch that game, but I think Indiana's going to win.
It's Big Ten football. BB's going to watch it.
I'm going to watch all games that I can this week, but I'm going to go with Indiana, too. Rutgers, they didn't really impress. Like, they beat Michigan State, but it wasn't nothing impressive. Like, it was an ugly game. So I'm going to have to go with Indiana. And then at times, for me personally, Greg Schiano likes to play chess when it's checkers. He might try to do too much in his game and put too much on the boys to where they cannot be as successful as they want to. So I'm going to have to go with
A
Indiana.
little extra
That's
insight
insight
into the
right
way
there.
Greg Schiano operates. I like that.
Simple. I'm going with Indiana. They're coming off a lot of momentum from week 1, beating Penn State. I'm going Indiana.
I'm going Indiana too. I mean, coming off a win like that, yeah, there's a lot of room for a letdown, right? Especially going on the road for the first time, going to New Brunswick, New Jersey, which is an absolute terrible place.
It's one of the worst college towns in the history of humanity.
I have been there once before.
You've been everywhere.
They don't have a 90s bar there either.
They don't. But, the quarterback play for Indiana, Penix is a playmaker with his feet, with his arm. Indiana's just too strong. If this was over 14, I would take Rutgers, but with it being 13, I'm going Indiana because I think they win this game by 14 points.
I think Indiana's going to win this game. I think that Tom Allen has too much juice going right now for his program. I think that Greg Schiano did a really good job of going out and getting every swing and transfer that he possibly could to buy into being, hey, let's create our own culture, chop wood, everything that you want. You're already kind of proven. Come to Rutgers. Okay, fair enough. They had 211 yards last week, Indiana did, versus Penn State. I'm going to go with Rutgers.
Oh, my goodness.
But, I mean, obviously, Indiana's winning this football game.
Plus 13, though.
That's the why. Plus 13 on the road, different stuff, COVID, I don't know.
I want to throw something else in there because Zach brought it up. That quarterback receiver play at the end of the Indiana-Penn State game for Indiana was unbelievable. I don't care what team you play for. I don't care what level of football. The throws that were made and the catches that were made were elite. Now, if Indiana can put that together at any point of this Indiana-Rutgers game, they'll blow Rutgers out of the water.
I have a rule, and that's at no point do you ever back Rutgers to do anything.
Okay, that's a good rule.
And since I have money on the line, ain't no way.
Yeah, fair enough.
that I'm going that direction. So,
I honestly, I also did it because it could be that one that I needed to not have to have this.
That's a lot of incentive to get that off.
No doubt. Or it's why I'm consistently wearing it. One of the two options.
Yeah, maybe you actually like it. Maybe I should have made it worse.
It kind of looks good, right?
Yeah, it does look good on me.
It looks
legend.
Good.
Yeah, legend.
Lettermen Row. Maybe I should just put an R on there. That'll make it look too good. All right. Game number 3. Normally we would be picking Wisconsin and Nebraska. That's gone.
We should talk about that crap.
All right. Should they forfeit? Just give me that real quick.
Yes.
Nebraska should be 1-1.
And they should also be allowed to play whoever they want to this weekend.
Yes.
And matter of fact, everybody out there listening, Wisconsin's the one that shut themselves down. Based upon the rules, they're supposed to take all that information, give it to their chief infection officer, take that to the Big Ten. Big Ten shut them down. Oh, we don't have our second string quarterback who played phenomenal. Oh, we don't have a third string quarterback. Now we got to go to Vanderboom. All right, do I really want Nebraska? Nebraska looked pretty decent. I think they would have a shot.
Right.
We're getting off topic.
Okay, sorry. I'm just upset. I'm just upset at Wisconsin.
I agree.
And that's why this game for Ohio State is so important. You don't know how everybody else is going to go.
Completely agree.
They played on a Friday. They were all clean on a Friday. They were not clean on a Saturday. What happened on Friday? I want to know.
What happened on Saturday?
Friday night.
Oh, Friday night, yeah.
Madison, Wisconsin has happened.
Hey,
Bells.
Hey, how are
Bells? Hey, they were wearing beast costumes without this mask.
And it was bells everywhere.
No doubt.
Okay. All right, back on it. My bad.
Well, speaking of interesting, since this will reveal exactly when we film this, although everybody knows anyway, but just in for the Clemson Tigers, that Trevor Lawrence has tested positive for COVID.
Shut the program down.
That's an interesting turn of events in the national title race. So file that away.
Blow it up.
What happened with Wisconsin?
It's an intense year.
What's funny? I'm going to cut it off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking about Trevor Lawrence, I just spoke about him this morning on ESPN Radio, and they asked me pretty much what would I advise him to do when it comes to being in this position right now. If he's my kid, he wouldn't have been playing. I tell you that right now. Trevor Lawrence would be number one. He would have been the number one pick as a freshman.
Cardale.
I mean, what else he can do? Try to win the Heisman? Okay, that's all cute and dandy, but come on, let's take the next step.
Cardale wants that money.
No. What else can he do? What else can he do but win the Heisman?
Yeah. Win a Heisman.
No matter what. Okay. Can we all agree?
Think about the endorsement money you get when you win a Heisman. Think about the signings, the money you get for signings when you win the Heisman, right? Everything that comes with the Heisman, you're going to get paid the rest of your life.
That's the money man right
there. Think about you playing for the Heisman. You said this because you already got a national title. Let's agree. Trevor Lawrence would have been number one pick his freshman year, sophomore year, and he's going to be number one pick this following year.
He might not want to be the number one pick.
Did you have more fun in the NFL than you had in college?
No, but
No.
still, it ain't.
You can't go back to college. He knows he'll go get his money in the NFL.
Exactly. It'll be my kid.
He might not want to be the number one pick.
Oh,
Exactly.
stop it.
No,
Oh, stop
no,
it.
he does. I mean,
Well,
because
yeah,
he's gonna be the
good
Jets.
point. Yeah,
Go
good
to the
point.
Jets. That's what I'm saying.
Good point.
Not a
No,
bad
good point. But
organization.
still, hey, this
be honest.
upcoming year, my kid would opt out if it was my kid.
All right.
No way.
This is more interesting than Northwestern at Iowa. So instead
I got
of-
I
Northwestern.
know.
Who do you got?
I got
Iowa,
Northwestern.
Iowa by 3.5 is the spread, Zach.
I love Northwestern. What they did against Maryland came out play. Plus, my man, I work out with him every morning, Bryant Peters. Schlegel knows
I see
him.
you, Brian.
He's a Wildcat, man. I'm giving him a shout out. He actually gave me this Beast costume. Man, it's all coming together right now. The Wildcats, the Beast, Bryant Peters, Jeremy Ebert, all the boys. Northwestern Wildcats take this one against Iowa.
I'm going to choose Iowa. I just think that they're a solid team, and Northwestern came into this season with a less than exemplary offseason or whatever. I just don't think that they Man, I'm blanking. They're not a good team, I don't think.
So it's
I think they'll
nachos,
win a couple
You were
games.
trying to
those nachos.
you're really trying to spice it up.
I think
Nachos.
Iowa, Wisconsin. Yeah, the nachos are. I just can't stop looking at them. I think Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota are the top teams in the West. I don't think Northwestern can compete with those three teams. I think Iowa's going to take this, and if it's only a 3.5 point spread, I think they'll be able to cover that.
I'm going to go with Iowa as well. And I'll say that for this. It's hard to play Iowa at Iowa.
Hard to play.
I don't know why, but between the
Kinnick
damn
Stadium.
pink locker room and then the wave,
Wade
like,
gets them going.
It really does. So it's like, and they're a tough team. At times they're very inconsistent from coming from this week, but that's kind of like their MO as well. But they're a very tough team to play. They're going to come in with a good game plan. They're going to stick to their plan. They're going to play pretty well together. I don't know if they're going to be spectacular, but I think they'll do enough and maintain enough to where they will come out with a win. So I'm going to go Iowa.
I'm going with Northwestern for this reason. Peyton Ramsey, Bowser, Anderson. They normally play. Those are two running backs.
Mario Kart, baby. Bowser, I love him.
They've never really had a quarterback.
Right.
They got one. And they always play pretty decent D.
Yeah.
Which Iowa's going to line up in silver personnel, which for us would be one back, two tight ends, 12 personnel. Sometimes we called it silver. That's what they do. And they run zone, stretch, sometimes the power, and a toss. Like that. I mean, that's it. That's their entire game plan. And they normally play good defense. Can you stop Northwestern offensively? Well, I can't believe I'm saying that, but they also got a new coordinator this last year. So I think that those guys looked really good in the first game. I think it's something that Northwestern hasn't had in a long time. And you got Iowa's getting 3.5. I don't care whether they win or whether they lose, just as long as they don't.
They're given 3.5.
Given Iowa's the 3.5 favorite.
That's what I'm saying. I'm taking the points.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
I got Northwestern simply because they're coming off a pretty good win against that team
Against
wasn't
who?
great.
Against Maryland.
It wasn't that great, but still causing four total turnovers. They're going to be living off that hype, and they're going to be getting to the ball, running, hitting guys, and hopefully put the ball in the end zone. So I got Northwestern.
I want to make one more point.
Do it.
Because Schleg's reminded me. Iowa is who they are year in and year out.
Yes.
They don't change. They don't really get better. They don't get worse. I think Northwestern fluctuates.
Of course they do.
I don't think this is a great Northwestern fluctuation. So we're just looking at the two teams because I didn't see the Northwestern-Maryland game. But I know what Iowa's going to look like. I don't have to watch a single Iowa game. They look exactly how they look since, 1978 or whatever it was.
Hey,
Mike, let me tell you something. You just gave the same spiel we all gave at this exact moment 7 days ago about at the exact same time against Purdue, and guess what? They got beat.
Hey, that's why it's going to be different.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Give me my money.
Who do you got? Who do you got, Austin?
There's one more lesson that I'll never take anything out of beating Maryland. Mike Locksley was the worst hire in the history of the Big Ten. There was no justification for it. They're absolutely embarrassing. Anyone's going to blow them out all year long. I have no doubt about that. So I'm not going to take anything from Northwestern and give them too much credit. Iowa struggled last week, but guess what, Zach? I thought they were going to lose. So this matchup, I'm going to lay the 3.5. I'm going to take the Hawkeyes. It just feels right because this is going to be like
It feels right, huh?
13-10. That's how I see this one.
Oh, that's gross.
This is going to be the game changer, this pick right here.
A real classic West Division showdown. Speaking of which, we got another one right here. Purdue, favored by 5 on the road against the Flying Illini. Just two fantastic places to go see a game.
This is going to sound ridiculous. I like both of these teams this year.
Oh my goodness!
I think Illinois.
Did you watch the Illinois game?
Stop.
Did you watch?
Illinois had a good defense for the first half.
nachos.
I don't know why they fold in the second half all the time, but they do. I like that Illinois has talent. I think Purdue is a decent team. Now, don't go blowing that out of proportion. I think they're decent. I think Purdue's going to beat Illinois.
I think Zach should go because he just gave you the dirtiest look, bro.
Illinois made a backup quarterback look like, Joe Montana.
Your expectations for each team,
Literally, that was a backup
freshman
freshman quarterback that put up Heisman numbers against an Illinois defense that couldn't stop a high school football team right next door in Madison, Wisconsin. I mean, that's how bad Illinois was. Listen, Purdue went out, beat an Iowa team that we all thought Iowa was going to win. Besides Austin here, right? But they endured the storm of Iowa lining up, running the football at them. They went toe-to-toe with them. They came out victorious. Purdue is going to be like a Nebraska. Nebraska is much better is much better this year than we thought. Purdue is the same exact way. Purdue is going to annihilate them in this game.
Woo! I think you're going to win.
I ain't going to lie to you. I haven't seen Illinois play. I have watched Purdue.
You missed a good game last Friday.
It was fun.
I didn't get I was on daddy duty, so I didn't get to catch it, sadly. So, with that being said, I can only go off of personal experiences. I'm going to go with Purdue.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Purdue.
That's like twice in a row that you.
They got Jeff Braun back, right? I mean, his brother Bryant did a great job, but they got him back. It's good to have him on the sideline. We still don't know about Rondell Moore. Probably not going to play this year. He's back with the team, but he's not suiting up. So you have to eliminate that. But they did beat an Iowa team. Illinois looked like trash.
I like them.
That's okay, and I like all the coaches in Illinois. You guys got to remember, I sell to all these guys, so I'm not hating on them, but I just saw, like, my eyes saw what I saw on the TV. I'm just like, man, that is not really good.
No difference, USA there.
Yeah, no, of course they do. I mean,
I know. No.
Unfortunately, they all got it, and sometimes just like, man, maybe we need to use it some more.
You just send them another video, instructional video.
Exactly.
Purdue.
Purdue.
Yeah, Purdue for sure. Illinois, that game was horrible. I'm sorry to say it, but I don't even know how many games does the coach has won since he's been there.
Lovie Smith?
Yeah, maybe.
Not been to a bowl, right?
A handful.
He had a bowl game last year.
Well, guess what? He's going to a bowl game this year.
Yeah, the toilet
Everybody's
bowl.
eligible.
Well,
yeah, the toilet bowl. But anyway, I got Purdue.
Purdue. Purdue as well.
Purdue.
I think we're gonna make sure.
Sweet Purdue. Right?
Mike's done this a couple of times. He throws something out there, and he's just.
First of all, I picked Purdue.
Okay.
I was just saying that I liked Illinois.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the part that's stuck in my brain.
Oh, okay.
And I'll never
I picked
forget.
Purdue.
Oh, okay.
I want to be clear.
All
about
right, so it's a clean sweep on Purdue.
Oh, I thought you picked Illinois.
No, I was just saying I liked watching Illinois. I liked their defense. I thought their defense was good until they weren't, and then
which is like
really,
the first
really
series.
bad. Yeah, it was about second quarter.
The guy threw 5 touchdowns on him.
Listen,
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you. I enjoyed watching their.
Okay, good.
Okay,
That's
fair
at
enough.
least Purdue's going to win.
The man has made his point.
We got to get that guy a girlfriend.
You got
a girlfriend?
No, I don't.
Man, you got 2 dudes over there, no girlfriends.
I didn't dress up as Beast though.
Okay.
I'm looking for one.
Do you guys want to pick Ohio State?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
How about anybody out there? You guys think Ohio State will cover 9.5 this week?
Raise your hand if they're covering 9.5.
Seems like yeah. That's everybody.
Everybody.
On this panel, Cardale, what do you got?
I got Ohio State.
Okay, that's a big surprise right there.
Buckeyes.
Okay.
Score. Score.
Hey, but speaking of scores, how close was I? I was taking 6 points off, 3 from each team.
Yeah.
I said 49-14.
That's really good. I said 52-10. I was only 7 off. Yeah, but you beat me.
Okay, we got to give a score for a tiebreaker.
What did I say on Monday? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I said 38 to something.
I got.
You can make as many predictions as you want.
I got 35-14.
35-14.
I'm going with the
35-14.
Skip me because I got to try to remember. Oh, by the way, Buckeye Brian made us those cool little things over there. Thank you, Buckeye Brian. Appreciate you, man. Show that, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sexy. Look at that guy. He even got your even got your stomach in there and everything.
Hey, it's beautiful.
I know it is nice, man. I really appreciate that.
No jiggling a figurine.
All right, baby.
Go ahead, BB. I gotta think about mine.
I'm gonna say 52-14.
52-14.
And now, the reason I'm gonna say that, number one, Penn State's gonna probably come out and get a best shot within the first 2 series. After that, it's gonna be all bad. And the fact that Coach decided to make a tweet saying all Ohio State, Coach Day's gonna try to make a statement and get their ass kicked. My personal opinion.
That's
my
a good opinion.
prediction.
We asked you to come here and give your opinion. So 52.
And I'm gonna give it.
And he gives it. That's why we love BB. Mike Bennett.
I'm going to say 45-17. I think Penn State has a better offense than Nebraska, so if Nebraska can put up 17, there's a chance Penn State at home puts up 17. I don't think there's a team in this conference that can hold Ohio State to less than 6 touchdowns, so 45-17.
I like the picks. Buckeyes obviously are going to come out firing on all cylinders, right? They're going to open up the offensive playbook. I think, this past week, obviously Ryan Day and those coaches had a great game plan, but you saw they let those wide receivers come out and make plays. They let Justin Fields drop back, roll him a couple times, make some easy throws. It was simple, plain, running plays right up the middle, right with those guys. They're going to open up this playbook. Granted, I think Penn State is going to do some things on the offensive side of the ball to give the Ohio State defense some different looks that you saw Nebraska do. And saying that, 56-20. I think I think Penn State will get 2 field goals maybe early, and then there's maybe a couple touchdowns late. But man, I just think this Ohio State team is way too strong and just feels in that offense, man.
You got to remember though, it's not a whiteout. That's the hardest part of playing in Happy Valley. That whiteout, I don't know what it is.
No, the worst part about Happy Valley is the hotel. You're staying at the Ramada Inn.
If it was
your rooms are outside.
It's a motel. It's really not a hotel.
It's a motel, right?
I had to check my bed for bed
Motel
bugs
6.
every time we went. But regardless, okay, the second hardest thing is the whiteout. You're not gonna have the whiteout. You know what I mean? So them having that crowd noise. Now they have to learn how to get themselves going. They can't use the crowd. I don't see them being even remotely successful to get 21 points.
Hey, it's a motel, hotel, Holiday Inn.
It's not even that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I finally did a hotel in Happy Valley the first time in my career. Because normally it's $700 to stay there.
Hey, listen, we are better off bringing the blow-up matches.
I don't actually want to stay there, but that's a whole nother matter. Schlegel, you're crunching the numbers. You got it or what?
48-20.
48-20. Okay.
That's a great bet.
We'll go back and check. Because I think that Mike Bennett was watching Lettermen Live at Roosters on Monday because he just stole my score that I already predicted this week.
Did you?
Which is Buckeyes 45, Penn State 17. We're sharing it. He's absorbing all that mojo we've got going at Lettermen Row. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Hope you had a great time at Urban Meyer's Pint House for weekend kickoff. Cardale Jones, Anthony Schlegel, BB Landers, Mike Bennett, Zach Boren, Evan Spencer, and, of course, Urban Meyer. Thanks for showing up, showing out. Have a great Halloween. Enjoy the game on Saturday night. I'm Austin Ward. We'll see you next week.
OH!
Ayo.